I finally reached the intermediate content. This is my 200-hour update. Now, the last 60 hours have been an emotional roller coaster for me, and throughout this video, I'm going to explain my experiences, what happened, and why overall I'm incredibly happy with what feels like a huge jump from beginner to intermediate. But first, welcome to my channel. My name's Connor, and I've been acquiring Spanish since September 2024 via the Comprehensible input method, which is Dreaming Spanish. Let's get into it. If you've watched my last update, you will know that I went on to the intermediate content early, 10 hours early to be precise. The reason being is I ran out of captivating content within the Espana dialect. So how was this transition from beginner to intermediate? In a nutshell, to begin with, it was like a breath of fresh air. For me, the main difference that I noticed was the fact that the whiteboard becomes redundant. You are solely relying upon what you have learned over the super beginner and beginner difficulty levels. You are solely relying on the words, on the language that you have acquired over this period of time. Overall, the first 40 hours for me it was an absolute pleasure. I found the increasing pace kept me engaged, and the fact that I no longer needed that whiteboard was extremely satisfying for me. So much so, I increased my daily input from 2 hours to 3 hours a day. Now, this was an easy decision for me to make because I was glued to the screen. I was taking so much pleasure from the fact that my listening comprehension had improved dramatically, that 3 hours input, it became easy to execute. So, as always, I sort my videos from easy to hard. This just provides me with a steady progression through the difficulty ratings. I've also come to learn that the difficulty ratings, you see in the top right hand corner of the video, the difficulty ratings come from feedback from consumers like me and like you. So I don't know if you've ever noticed, but at the end of the video, there's a screen which asks you which video you found more difficult. Was it the one you've just watched, or was it the previous one before that? See, I always rate these videos. Reason being is I think it's incredibly important to help people like ourselves. People in future who whether they're on the beginner videos, whether they're on super beginner, or whether they're on intermediate content like me. It's incredibly important to rate these videos for these people to help them out. So yeah, overall, the first 40 hours for me was incredibly positive. I took to it like a duck to water. I found it engaging. To be honest with you, it showed me how ready I was to move on, because when I reflect back now towards the end of the beginner content, around 135 to 140 hours, maybe before that, I realized how bored I was beginning to feel with watching the content and moving on to the intermediate content and having to use more of what I've already learned without the safety net of that whiteboard. I find that incredibly satisfying. Now, this is all incredibly positive stuff that I'm talking about, and it almost portrays me as being the perfect student. But believe me, I'm far from the perfect student. There are moments where I can't focus. There are times when I don't understand a word that's being said, and days when I just can't be bothered. So, as I hit 180 hours, this was about 4 days before Christmas, I went on holiday for a few nights. Now, I've been in this situation before, so I proactively decided to drop my hourly input down from 3 hours down to an hour a day. Two reasons for this. Number one, I was on holiday and I wanted to enjoy myself. And number two is I don't do well with a change in my routine. It massively affects my ability to focus. So I just wanted to get ahead of myself and bring that input down to give myself a break. So over these few nights away, even hitting an hour's input became difficult. Like I just didn't have the patience for it. I really had to persevere and push through each and every video over the course of the holiday. I was using my phone as well to watch the videos. Usually I use a laptop, so that could have had a play in it. But I know for a fact it was the fact that I changed my routine. So I was hoping at this point that when I returned home, things might improve. But things were no better. I had an absolute mare Christmas Day. I was half an hour into my first hour's input, and I was watching a video about looking things up in the dictionary. This is something I want to talk about as well after I've done my update. I'll see if I have time. So yeah, I was watching a video about looking things up in the dictionary, and this content was just absolutely blowing my mind. Like, I did not understand the word, what was being said. Boxing Day, I had a similar sort of issue. I got to the point that I started to think that this level might be too high for me, because I was having really good moments, but mostly I was having really, really bad moments where I didn't understand the word that was being said. My mind was constantly wandering. I could not focus, and it was starting to feel exhausting, and it was really starting to get to me. I care so much about learning this language that I've noticed I'm putting myself under an enormous amount of pressure. This is something that I've got to eradicate. This is only going to hinder the language learning process. Putting pressure on myself is not going to do me any favours in anything. Never mind learning a language. That is something that you pick up little by little. And this is one of my concerns. I am putting a lot of pressure on myself, and this is something I need to stop. I don't know if you guys do this as well. Let me know if you do. I take a lot of comfort in knowing that I'm not the only person doing this. But yeah, thankfully, come Boxing Day, I did rewatch the dictionary video, and I saw improvements. Like, I understood what was being said, and my focus remained unaffected. After this, consecutive days after Boxing Day, I was beginning to once again enjoy the content. I regained my ability to focus, and I was back up to 3 hours. If I'm going to summarise, the first 60 hours, as you can tell, it was an absolute roller coaster of highs and lows. And I think it's incredibly important to recognise that part of my journey, from going from a high to a low, then back up to a high again, this is probably something that is going to resurface later on down the line in my journey. I've got to accept that there are going to be bad days. There are going to be days that I lose focus, and there are going to be days that I think I'm incapable of learning this language. But with perseverance and resilience and determination, I proved to myself that I could get through that bad patch. That bad patch lasted for about 10 to 15 hours. And the thoughts that were going through my head was I was thinking I was incapable. So, having that determination and showing that I could push through the difficult moments and come out on top is something that I've got to remember, and something that I've got to take for what it is, and really ride that wave. Because, if I could do it, I believe anybody can do that. It's such an important part of the journey, and I'm not trying to dim myself down with thinking, I'm going to get future bad days, but at least now I know that when I do get a bad day, I know it's not going to last forever. I've just got to push through 10, 15, maybe 20 hours, whatever it is, but persevere, and I will come out on top. And it's almost like you adjust to what's being said, to the content that you're watching. It's like you adjust and you settle again, and that's the level up. You go through them difficult moments, and then you level up in your ability for comprehension. So that's, though I'm talking about a negative, really it's a positive, isn't it? So yeah, there is a couple of things I wanted to talk about. So Pablo says not to look up. I was talking about that video, wasn't I? Looking at words up in the dictionary. Now, Pablo says not to look words up in the dictionary. unless it's a reoccurring word and you can't quite wrap your head around it. Now, I bent that rule a little bit. I do look words up in the dictionary, sometimes probably more than I should, and you know, I feel it helps. Now, these are words that, you know, for like what. These are nouns or adjectives. So I don't know what you guys do about looking at words in the dictionary. Please let me know in the comments below. There was something else I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about watching videos twice or 3 times, but what I'll do is I'll put that in another video. So yeah, guys, there's going to be another update at 300 hours. I'm really enjoying it at the minute. It's going really well. 3 hours input is going down extremely well. And yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing about all you guys and how your journey is going too. So let me know in the comments. Thank you.